What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be doing a video on how to take the ignition coil out of a John Deere f525. So to start us off, I've already got the seat off. It's just two pins that are going to be located right there, and then same on the other side. So to get us started, I'm going to probably disconnect the throttle cable, which is underneath here. And so let's get started. Okay, so disconnect the throttle cable. You're going to either need a flathead screwdriver, a Phillips screwdriver, or the certain size socket head that goes on there. So I'm going to use the certain size socket head that goes on there because it's going to be easier for me to get more torque out. And that size is going to be a 5/16. So disconnect the throttle cable. We're going to get grab my 5/16 here. Actually, never mind. We don't need to disconnect the throttle cable. We need to disconnect this cable here. And that is going to look like it's going to be my hydrostatic drive line. So we're actually not going to do that. We're going to take off this cover panel here to get this part disconnected from the block. That was my throttle cable, but it's not. It's my lines. So we'll start off by taking all these bolts out. And always, as always, I have a bolt bin. All my bolts that I take out right here. So the symptoms with this mower is it'll run for about 5 minutes, shut off when it gets warm, which is a clear sign of a bad coil. So today I got a parts mower, but today I'm just going to show you guys how to remove this. And you don't have, and obviously you're going to want to have to remove this cable, but I'm not going to ever remove it. I'm just going to take this part off so it's out of the way. Now we've got to find a way to get to this part here. Pull up on that. And just like that, you're disconnected. You just got to loosen those up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tighten these back in there. It's just you got to get the whole thing loose so you can move it around. Maybe if I can get this bolt back in. I'm just going to leave them out. This will be fine. I'm just going to end up taking all these off. Just less stuff in the way. Now people might do this differently, but I'm going to get these two back bolts here and I'll move you guys so you can see them. And just like that, that comes off, just something out of the way. You don't have to take that off, but to get this line free, you kind of want to get it off. So now, in the back, right in here, there's going to be a set of about 2 bolts. And I'll kind of zoom in on them. So you can't really see it, but right about here, there's a bolt there, and then there's going to be a bolt on the other side just like it. So we're going to get those disconnected from the part here. That's also what holds your cover on, and those are going to be a little bit bigger size than what I've got on. Now, if I remember correctly, these are probably 10 millimeter. So it's a Kawasaki engine. Yes, they are. So 10 millimeter on that, because it's a Kawasaki engine. So now the coil will be located on this engine, right about under there, under the flywheel. Under the flywheel button. So we gotta get to that. Now on some Mars, these are the uprights like this. So you can get in these pretty easy. But if they're vertical, like a vertical shaft, like a Kohler Magnum 20, those are pretty common engine. Those you gotta take out the whole tractor. Okay, so now I'm gonna get this back bolt out. There's another back bolt holding the panel in. A 10 millimeter bolt. And I'm gonna kind of have to go as I work here, because I have done this a whole bunch, especially on these Kawasaki's, so it's gonna have to go along with me. There might be some extra bolts that I gotta take out. And then I know there's another one right here, it's gotta come out. Just the reason I'm doing this is because there's not a whole lot of videos on these Kawasaki's and these John Deere engines, so I was in the John Deere's. So you know what? Probably be something we could do a video on. Okay, got another bolt. And there's another one right here, and this one's going to be a little more challenging to get to. It's in a really stupid spot. I think we're going to take the extension off on that and just go right in with the little socket here. Okay, that isn't going to work, so I'm going to need a 10 millimeter wrench to get that one out. So I'll show you here. Right here, between this black thing, the black long piece, and you can see attached to it, there's a bolt, but you can't get a socket in between there. So I'll grab a 10 millimeter socket, or not a socket, a wrench, and take that off there. Hopefully I have one. Yes, I do have a 10 millimeter right available to me. Perfect. I can reach that one, no problem. Then once they start coming, some of them you can just work out by hand. And I think the challenging bolts are going to be the ones under this back end, because I got to disconnect the fuel pump from the block, which we'll do that here next. Okay, disconnected. Now we're going to disconnect the fuel pump, which is about 2 bolts. And that's also going to be 10 millimeter. There's break them free here. I think it's just 2 that hold it on from what I looked at it. It's just 2 bolts that hold them on. Here. Yeah, looks like to be a bolt here. And I'm just kind of setting in my stuff in my tray here in different corners, so I know what goes with what. So there's one. There should be one more underneath here that I'm not going to show you because it is in a rink-a-dink spot here. I think I might be able to use my socket with extension on here. Maybe no extension. I'll just go right in there with the socket. Get a little closer to it here. Now looking under here, I just noticed there's another bolt right about under this panel. You'll see it when you go under here to take the fuel pump off. There's another one right there that we'll remove. But I mean, from what it looks like, we're getting closer to taking this thing off. Because I just saw that fuel pump when I moved the fuel pump, it moved. Okay, so let's get this one here. This one we're going to need an extension because there's some wiring harness in front of it. Looks to be about if you have a 10 millimeter wrench, you can get this job done pretty easily. I'm not struggling yet, but I might be in a minute here. We'll see how this goes. So I don't think there's any parts of the carburetor that touch it. I think it's possibly just this air box might need to come off, and there's another bolt that holds that on there. Okay, now let's see here. Okay, still not seeing much movement, so I'm going to take this air box off and see what's under here. Might be some little sneaky bolts that they put on there. And I kind of wonder, I bet you this needs to come off too, that paneling right there. Because that looks like it's connected directly to the flywheel. And if that's the case, that's going to need to come off because that cover won't come off. I don't think it just slides, it might not, I don't think it just slides off, so do that next. Okay, there's the air box right here. And I don't see any more bolts on there. But I think that's our last problem right there is that. So that looks like it's going to just be a regular, I think at the moment, a Phillips head. Take that off of there. Maybe not. And it looks like it should be. Try moving with my impact here once. It's going to be too small. I don't want to wreck that. Let's keep trying this one. This screwdriver might be a little too stripped out. I don't know. Had a lot of use. might have just stripped out those bolts. So the only problem is this cover. I just can't get them out stripping. So I gotta try to figure out how to get this cover off with the bolts being kind of stripped out like they are. They're all kind of, looks like somebody's tried to take them off before. I can't figure out how to do that yet. And it don't look like this cover comes off without this thing coming loose. I don't know if I have any more fat screwdriver heads that would work on that. I might. What I could do is try clamping one of these to it here. Seeing if I can get it to spin. Huh. I'm very stumped here on how to get those off. Well, I guess I'm going to do a little research and I'll come back here in just a minute. Okay, what's up everyone? I am back again. So, I stopped the video there for a little bit because I was really struggling. And what happened is, somebody before me had tried to take this cover off the top of the flywheel housing. So, what happened was they had stripped every single, these 3 screws out completely. So after a bunch of thinking, I tried cutting one of them, it just didn't go well, so I stopped that. What I ended up doing was taking this, which is kind of a rinky-dink setup. It's got a chisel end on it. And taking this hammer and just pounding the literal crap out of the top of the screws to get a head like this to fit down in there so I could turn them out. Well, I got them out. Not really how I wanted to, but that's one of them. That's another one of them. And the third one, well, at first it split in half and I was like, oh shoot, but then I just cut another notch piece into it and it turned right out. So we'll have to get some new screw tips for this. But to finish out this project, we're trying to take this coil off right here. So I'm going to go back to get my little pieces, parts here to do this. And there's the cover there for you. Okay. So, where did I set that? I'm looking for my little socket head extension piece here. But I gotta take these 2 out, so I gotta find that little, there it is, right there. Where's my socket? Ah, drop it. Okay, so I think, okay, we gotta figure out what size this is here a second. Okay, to take that off, it's gonna be a 5/16 head. And normally I would suggest if this, some of these don't have a magnet, some of them do, but the older models will have a magnet. I think the whole thing is magnetic, but just move it away from your head. It's going to take a little force to get it off. So, as you can see, we're just going to slowly loosen these bolts out here. So our magnet's on this side. As you can just see, I stuck that to it. So get these out. And this thing looks pretty old. I guess it's not just rusty, it's probably bad. These things do go bad over time. This is something that happens to old mowers unless you keep them like inside in clean condition. Otherwise, if you let them sit outside at all, they get condensation in them and then they die. So, pull those two out. Got those two out now. You need to take that off there like that. And there's going to be a little wiring spot there. You're going to want to disconnect that from the little end. Disconnect your boot from your plug, which I should have done in the first place, but it's fine. Okay, now we're disconnected. And maybe they are just rusty. We can try cleaning them once and seeing if I get spark. But we'll save that for another video. So, but yeah, that is how you take off a coil on that style engine. Hopefully you don't strip out your bolts or don't have them stripped out or strip them out in the process like I had on this engine. But if you can do that without that problem, I think you'll be really set to get this out. It's a pretty simple coil to take off. So yeah, that's it right there. That is how you take a coil off a John Deere f525 with the Kawasaki engine. Sorry, my bad. The PA 540A Kawasaki engine.